14/21. It is 5:53 a.m. in the morning on a Wednesday. Well, the only reason why I'd be reaching out to all of you right now is because I just had an experience not more than about, I think it was like maybe 30, 40 minutes ago, something like that. And I am here, as always, to share it with you. And wow, it was amazing. And I needed it because last night I wasn't having the greatest night. I wasn't feeling great. And I remember, let me tell you this, because, well, let me get right into it. I'm not gonna delay this anymore. This was a pretty cool experience. First of all, as I always like to say, for those of you who care about this sort of thing, I had on storm sounds in the backdrop, my reliable storm sounds, and I laid down. It was the middle of the night. I had been up doing my usual thing, working on different projects, and I shut my eyes, and I remember that in my mind, I had kind of given my higher self permission to kind of take over because I wasn't feeling great, and I knew I wasn't. This is something that I do because, as I've always told you about astral projection, you don't ever really want to leave your body when you are not in a good place, when your mind is not in a good place. This could be disastrous for you because of what you could manifest. But, and this is the thing with me personally, I have a very tight and a very good, wonderful relationship with my guides and my higher self. I just do. It's developed over time, guys. This is something that takes time to develop. The connection that I have, of course, they've always been there and watching out for me, but I think the thing that's taken time to develop, really to truly develop, is not necessarily the relationship that we have, but the trust that I have, because it's really up to me. So it's my trust in them to allow them to take over that's important. And I don't know if this is something that perhaps you can learn from, or that it can assist you on your own journey. What I will say, as I've said before, and I will continue to say this, your relationship with your guides, the relationship you have with your higher self, is extremely important. You do want to develop that relationship. So I was lying there and eyes shut, and I was like just not feeling great at all. And again, I asked my higher self just to take over. And I was just resting. I was on my right side. And eventually I came to that middle point. That point I always tell you about, the sweet spot. And I remember I turned to the left. This was, by the way, a beyond body experience. And for those of you, again, who may be new to my channel or just coming on, the difference between what a beyond body experience is and astral projection is, the difference between those two things is, when I astral project, I feel a separation from my body. When I do the beyond body, it feels as if whatever motion happens is my entire body moving either to the left, moving to the right, being catapulted through space, flight, whatever. It really feels like my physical body is doing this motion. So that is the difference. I moved to the left, and as always, I felt myself coming off the bed. And as always, I had this thought that I might hit the floor and how it was going to feel. and if it was going to be painful, I always go through this. Anyone who listens to my videos now, or have been listening to my videos, knows that I always go through this fear like I'm going to hit the floor, but it never materializes. So I come down, and then I feel the motion begin. As I've always told you, or as what usually occurs, is that this motion happens in darkness. But immediately, as I began to move, I could see everything quite clearly. Everything was crystal clear. I was again, and for those of you who don't know this, you might want to listen to the video where I talked about seeing a train, like a steam train and tracks, and being in this tunnel. And I was again in a tunnel that was transparent. It is very rare. In fact, I don't know, really, this may have been one of the first times that I believe that I've seen the same thing twice, but this was definitely the same tunnel. It was transparent, like it was in that first experience where I saw the tunnel on the train. So I saw that. I didn't see tracks at first. At first, I was just going through this transparent tunnel. I was just moving, and this was the thing. I was, in the beginning, the motion was not me in my mind sort of creating it. It was just, I was just moving, and I was moving at a sort of a gradual pace, guys. It wasn't fast at all. I was moving at a gradual pace through this transparent tunnel, and then suddenly in my mind I thought, I wonder what happens in this moment if I take over and I start to think about how fast I can go. And once I did that, once I, in my mind, took over and said, I want to go faster, suddenly it was like a fighter plane coming off of an aircraft carrier, the way it's catapulted off the aircraft carrier. Suddenly it was this burst of speed. I was moving so fast. The surroundings, the tunnel was just whipping by. And I remember at one point I was seeing, I guess what I would think would be architecture, sort of perhaps through the transparent tunnel. I could see landscape that seemed to be at times animated, and at times it looked like the physical world. It all seemed to be merged at times. Parts of it were this, like I said, animated. Parts of it were physical. And all that happened was I kept going faster and faster and faster. And as I always do, I was laughing. It was so much fun to go that fast. Oh my gosh, it was so cool. I was rounding corners. I was, just going this way, that way. And what's interesting is at some point, guys, I felt as if I was not only on a train, but it felt as if I was on top of the train, or I was literally one with the train. It's a very weird feeling. I was not a passenger, by the way, guys. I was not a passenger on the train, and I wasn't watching it passively. In fact, I seemed to be one with it. It seemed to be as if in that moment I was the train, and that I was the one that was in motion, and I was the one that was going faster and faster and faster. I couldn't see a physical train, though I felt that there was, I guess I could say that I was a modern train. I could see tracks. I could see the tracks. And as I went further on, the tracks began to branch off into different directions. In fact, guys, it went off into an infinite number of directions. I can't tell you how many directions it went off into. It's interesting. Once I read a question pretty recently where someone asked me if the number of universes, parallel universes, how many are there? And I told that person that I don't believe there's a limit to them. And seeing what I saw, because I know that this is my mind kind of translating this into something that I can understand. Seeing what I saw with the tracks branching off into an infinite number of directions, I can only say that there must be an infinite number of universes. Yeah, it was amazing. It was amazing. And again, guys, I do love the speed. So, as I've always said, I love to go fast. It's great. Now, at some point in all this, I slowed down and then I stopped. And then suddenly, and I'm not sure exactly how I made the transition, I was walking in a sort of a train station. I don't know that I was seeing other people in the beginning. I don't think I saw anyone at all. But at one point, as I was walking, I saw a man, young man, couldn't have been more than in his 20s. He had sort of a 5 o'clock shadow, I remember, or like he had like 5 o'clock shadow. I mean, like he had a little bit of a beard. He had a little facial hair, but not much. Sort of blondish hair, sort of tannish. Yeah, and I believe he was wearing like maybe round glasses. I'm not sure. Young guy. But I saw him and he made eye contact with me and he kind of nodded as he walked by me, and then he walked through a pair of double doors. For my part, I think I was trying to find an exit or a way to continue on with the train because it was such an exciting thing. But when I saw this guy, something instinctually told me that he was there, or I had seen him, because he was the one that was supposed to tell me or to make me go back. I just had a feeling at that point as soon as I saw him, and I wanted to avoid him because I honestly, I didn't want to go back. I was just having too much fun. And I remember as he exited through the door and he walked through the door, I was like, okay, great. You know, maybe he's not. Maybe my instincts are wrong. Maybe this was just some being that happened to pass me. But then, a second later, right as he walked into that pair of double doors, it seemed that another being came out, but that other being was an exact match or a twin, or could have been his double. Like literally, he looked exactly like him. And I noted that and I thought, okay, this is somehow someone here to bring me back. And I remember I walked away very quickly because again, I didn't want to go back. And this guy, to his credit, he was smiling. He walked up to me, caught up to me, and he said directly to me, he said, it's time to go back. And then I looked at him and I said, you know what? I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back right now. You know, I was having too much fun. And he said, no, it's time. You have to go back. So I said, okay. And he took me by the arms and it felt as if he kind of squeezed. And once he did, I opened my eyes. I was back into the 3D world. But it's interesting because I do remember, I think that I may have said thank you to him. I'm sure he was part of my crew, my guides, or whoever. A mechanism or someone that's there to get me back to where I need to go. I suppose if he wasn't there, and I wanted to, I could probably ride those tracks for an eternity if I wanted to. I don't know, but it was great fun. And anyway, that's it. Thank you so much for coming on another journey with me. And until next time, take care.